Can you hear us?
Yeah, it's not that we just need more space and I like to be able to space. Yeah. I can be a little bit better. Yeah. But we have really good space in the river arts district. It's a big building with camera in it. It's hard to get. Yeah, especially now.
What do you mean the power to it? Because I can see you.
John owns it. The two men are young guys, and their grandparents evidently left them in the
There's a lock thing on mine. Is there a button you can push on yours? On the disc.
Arts Center. Choose to be on your not. Coffee roast.
Across the top, is there?
Yes.
Well, I wonder why I can see you.
I think they'll like the idea. Yeah. It's just a permanent.
I don't think so.
Special city limits permits or like. So hopefully, that's what it gives, so I can make faces.
Well, is everything like on the?
Not something to the wrong school together. Hey, how are you?
So you can hear me. I just can't hear you.
I have black boots and brown boots.
Because y'all must be, y'all have a lock beside you.
But I think I saw it this past week. It's S-O-M-M-O-R-I-A-L. Every time we're in Park Avenue, to remind you to get to it.
I don't know.
It's fun, but I can't even on the front.
Mikhail's already left.
I love it because I love boots and brown boots. I like it. You kind of know that I don't pull her another one that's with a 3-year old.
So something's not plugged up, then that's why y'all can't hear me. I mean, you can hear me, but we can't hear you, right? How many people are there?
A great deal for stuff over there. How are you? Sharp and pink. And matches my big size. Oh, with a little black color.
Well, now you know what I'm gonna do.
Well, that worked, Jesse.
We go to my grandma's and she let us use the manual. Don't know why.
Can you hear us now?
Yeah, I did it for
Silva, can you speak?
No, they can't. Somebody's waiting and.
They can hear us, but we can't hear them.
Has he been gone?
It's got a lock there, and that has something to do with it, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know. Very nice. Very nice.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, we can.
Okay, it's working,
Can you hear
Robin, so
us?
just, yes, we don't see ourselves on the screen, but I guess that's okay.
Your lock went away. The little lock thing beside your name.
Okay.
Or you.
Well, we can see you and you can hear us.
Yes. Got a really small loop.
I know Diane Dalton bought her last Monday. I think I was
So you stay at home?
maybe the fourth. Doesn't matter.
You like the school this year?
I'm getting some.
Katie's not finishing.
From, I see her walking over, like, so it's, yeah, it's gonna work out. And was the first. I see her. Yeah, I see her. I know the young lady's hot. But it's just too bright, Smith has done this, he's done the same thing for us, and so last time to try. More functional. And she did not tell me that, so what we're doing is over.
What she said is she stopped with somebody and I had a feeling it was you.
I've got this, and then she gets here, and and so forth.
Did I do it? Did y'all work on Friday evening?
You know, she's working there, so that is a program, so that's.
And so she had said something to me about it. And so I said, she didn't call me, it's not a problem. And so I let her know, and she texted me back and said, she was saying somebody, she said, and I think it's probably.
Too funny.
The guy that you showed us some things, that's over in Robbinsville, way back over there.
David?
See work.
Oh, he works for the Graham County EMS. He does custodial stuff
I was in a,
for the fire department.
I was in a Walgreens over.
Wow. Unreal. I know. That's better. It is. That's better. Thank you. It's funny, huh?
Details. Okay, guys, let's, we got a very low turnout today. Who do we have in Silva?
Well,
Paige, Smokey,
Kathy,
Julie, Robin.
Robin, okay. Who do we have in Boone?
Katrina, Arbitrout, Susan Seidel.
And Ronnie, Ryan. Hey, Ronnie. Everyone else, okay. And who do we have in Lenore?
Mark Bridges, Michelle Strobel.
Mary Short, Katie Short.
Yeah.
Okay, welcome in Lenore. And here in Asheville, Jesse Smathers.
Nancy Baker.
Jenna Price Farrell,
Sonny Pitts.
Janet Smith.
Kathy Ryder.
Okay. Very small turnout tonight. All of you should have your agenda with and your minutes from our last meeting. There's a couple action items from the last meeting. We had 32 people present in the last meeting.
Thanksgiving. The cooking turkeys.
Yeah, and traveling. I sent an email out with the stakeholders group, or to the stakeholders group with questions from last year's gap analysis, and we've received feedback from some folks. I sent out the set of core competencies for direct support service workforce. I was supposed to do that by end of October, but I didn't get it done until today because I, to be honest, thought I had done it. I haven't. And we're exploring getting the Department of Labor representative. It was attached with the minutes and the agenda and everything.
We didn't hear anything from you today.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
If it hadn't been for Janet texting me,
Because I sent it out this morning, I wonder if it didn't go.
it didn't go.
I was on the phone with Kathy, and I said something about, she said, see you tonight, so I thought, well, that really is on tonight.
Well,
Just went look at the calendar on the smoke and stuff. Yeah, to be sure.
I know I sent one because we got it internally, didn't we?
Didn't have it.
Or, it may have been because of the size of it. So I'll resend those things again. Does anyone see anything needs to be changed with the minutes?
Yeah.
They appear accurate. Okay. Would anyone like to add anything to the agenda? We'll start here in Asheville. Would anyone like to add something to the agenda? Did we miss you, Nancy?
No, I was thinking I was here last month.
No, you weren't.
No,
I don't worry about it.
you were doing this for, you were doing this.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was with Leslie. Yes.
Yeah, that's why you weren't here.
Yeah, I was sorry, I was with Leslie.
So would y'all like to add anything to the agenda here in Asheville?
Because you got in too tight, and I was hoping you were doing that big on it.
So, under the agenda where you wrote about the minutes,
Uh-huh.
we all talked last month, I wasn't here, about direct support professionals. And it says that they'll be sent to the stakeholders group to set of core competencies. Is that what you were?
That's what I tried to send this morning.
Okay.
And
Once
I,
it comes out, it'll.
yeah, Yeah, I'll send it again. I'll send it as a link, but I'll make sure I get it out.
Thank you.
I tried to send it this morning, but sometimes based on the size, they may not get out.
Just want to be sure I don't miss it.
Okay.
Can he
Would
post
anyone like
the
to add
document to
anything
the
on,
stakeholder
Silva?
website?
It's just all staff in Silva, right?
We'll ask, when he asks us if there's anything we'll add, okay?
Okay. How about Lenore?
Yes. Yes, Jesse, can you just post that document, the competencies to the Innovations Stakeholder site page?
I can. We're kind of holding off on posting some things until we do a website redesign. But as soon as that's done, we will post all those things.
Yeah, the minutes haven't been posted and agendas haven't been posted since March.
Yeah, I know. Because that's how long we've been talking about our website design. And I need to just go ahead and send them and tell them to post them anyway. Which that's what I will do. Because that makes it easier for everyone to get access to them. Okay. Anyone in Boone want to add something to the agenda? No? Okay. Just a quick update regarding the home and community-based services, self-assessments. We received 720 self-assessments from provider agencies for residential supports, day supports, and supported employment. We have been going through these and completing e-reviews. As of close of business Friday, we had reviewed 480. We have to have all of them reviewed by the end of December. The division extended the date, so we're actually on track to meet that. We were on track to meet the original deadline, but it was extended. And that 780 includes some that are new sites, because any new site for residential supports or day supports have a self-assessment before the service can be provided there. The self-assessments are demonstrating a pattern with regard to certain pieces. We'll know more about that when we compile all the data. We have to report the data to the DMA by January 16th. The DMA, or I guess I should say, the Department of Health and Human Services, because it's both DMA and the Division of Mental Health, Developmental Disabilities and Substance Abuse Services. They are all having us send this information up, and then they're required to do a validation study. So we'll be sending 2 of our staff that have been completing the reviews to a meeting where they'll be with other representatives from the other LMEs to ensure that people are asking the same things of providers with regard to these assessments. And they'll also be taking a look at the proposed member surveys, because everyone that is receiving a home and community-based service will have the opportunity to complete a survey regarding those services to see if it matches what the providers are saying. The DHHS is still working out the details around that. Any questions about home and community-based service self-assessments here in Asheville? No? How about in Benton? This is going to be the quickest meeting ever. How about in Lenore?
I have a question. Does it include the respite centers, the respite sites?
No. The HCDS services characteristics does not apply to respite sites. It's specific to services, residential supports, day supports, and supported employment.
Okay, thanks.
TIDE, that's the North Carolina Training, Instruction, Development, and Education Conference. It occurs in fall and spring of each year. There were several presentations about the new waiver at NC TIDE. Nancy actually attended NC TIDE. I'll put you on the spot and let you share your update or thoughts about it.
I was in 2 full days of session. First day with Jesse, the second day with a gentleman from New York.
Joe Macbeth.
Let's say that by the time I left NC TIDE, I was looking at things a whole lot differently. Thinking outside the box. Jesse's presentation was incredible. It was really awesome. Already scheduling meetings with Jerry's doctors, group home, care coordinator. Not to say I'm doing anything, but to figure out if I decided this is what Jerry wanted, how would we move forward to get it done. Very thankful I looked, very appreciative for Smokey sending me. Walked away with a lot to think about, and just very appreciative to Jesse for the day's presentation that he gave, very insightful.
Well, thank you, Nancy. The presentations for IDD included the presentation from Andrea Meisenheimer and Deb Goda. Andrea Meisenheimer is with Cardinal Innovations, and Deb Goda is with the Division of Medical Assistance. They did a presentation about resource allocation. And then I did a presentation with Kenneth Boswell with the Division of Medical Assistance and Jamie Markham with Trillium about the service definitions. And then the second day, yes, I always get the most interesting topics together. The second day we did, there was a presentation by Deb Goda and Maya Williams, who was with the Division of Mental Health, regarding home and community-based services and the next steps. Then Joe Macbeth with the National Alliance for Direct Support Professionals did a presentation that morning. And then Ann Dupree Rogers from Smokey did an afternoon training about the community resiliency model and how it could pertain to for people with IDD or people working with IDD, people that work with people that have IDD. And that session was very fascinating because there was a young man with cerebral palsy that spoke up in the session that opened a lot of people's eyes, I think, with regard to limitations that loved ones place on people with disabilities, just trying to protect them and things.
And Jesse gave out lots of candy.
Yeah. We did the, what I'm going to do is share I'm not going to go through our PowerPoint for the service definitions, but I am going to share it with the whole group. To just touch on some of the important pieces. Let's see, slideshow. Why can't I find from the beginning? We covered several topics, but what we did in this presentation is we embedded videos that gives you an idea about how services should work or their purpose. This video is about a young man with severe disabilities that lives with his family, and his mother was told that he would never, that he wouldn't be able to live with them. We talked about the pieces that go with the service definition and what we know about them. And this is In the service definition, you have description. This is the coverable activities, the scope and intent, and exclusion and limits to the service. And then you have the implementation pieces, which are the staff qualifications, the provider types, and any additional UR requirements. This is the part, so far the waiver has really defined the description. The parts that haven't been described as clearly are the implementation pieces. And that's the stuff that work groups are still developing and working on. But the description and the implementation creates your service definition. The cost limit's not going to change. Some of the limits on sets of services are not going to change. They're the same as they are currently. The services were categorized in different groups. Here's a video about a young man with Down syndrome that owns his own.
California?
He's in Arizona.
I saw this.
This one's worth watching, isn't it? Yeah. Let's just watch this one for the impact.
Yeah.
Oh.
You know, I'm in Frisco, it's a restaurant called Ethan's Place. Having Down syndrome, especially where we are yet in the world. We are more like than different. Ethan's Place is so special because I knew out with awesome free hugs. They are the best.
Growing up with Tim, I didn't really notice a difference until I was older. Tim was just a normal, everyday brother to me. There was no difference. And I think that Tim kind of grew and become what he is today.
I made so many friends in high school. They all love me back. They crowned me homecoming king in my senior year. Homecoming king is the best. And I went to college in Eastern New Mexico University of Roswell. I studied food service, restaurant hosting, and office skills.
I feel like he's really kind of influenced how a lot of us live, us in the family. Just his spirit, his attitude towards his people. He's given dozens of hugs already today. I heard him say he's at 60 hugs.
I haven't been, I've been competing in special Olympics for over 15 years now. I compete in basketball, hockey, volleyball, track and field, golf, and bowling. I have over 50 medals. We have over 50. We have more than Michael Phelps. Parents, family, friends, they supported me all the way. I have Down syndrome. I am awesome.
We are working to break down barriers in society between Tim and people like Tim all around the world and the rest of the societies that they live in. We find that it's the last frontiers where there's a barrier in our society where people are afraid to connect or engage because of fear. Fear of the unknown. So we are very, very motivated to do things to help break down those barriers.
I help people with Down syndrome, people in this disabilities, to stay in school, and get educated, and get jobs, or own their own business. I know they can. They are awesome. I know they can. If you can do it, you can do it.
No fear of talking to anybody. Just go talk to any person. Every person he saw as a friend. There was no one he disliked at first look. After high school, he got a job at another restaurant, and even there, before he owned Tim's Place, he was still the most outgoing person. He'd stand at the door, hold it open, flex his muscles while he's holding the door open, and just say hi with the biggest smile you could ever have.
This is the restaurant where the front door is more than different. It has pictures of me as a baby, really cute. I'm not more cute than that. I am attractive. I would be married someday. Be really happy and be a dad someday. I don't know that. In Paris, in the restaurant owner, and I say that he loves my TV because I love his smile.
Hugging at it.
I saw another video about him. It was a little bit different, the same thing. It was a little bit shorter, I think.
But that's kind of the way the presentation went, sharing stories and going into some of the services. And like I said, I'll be sharing this with all our care coordinators, because the PowerPoint that this group created about resource allocation, the changes and everything, is being used as the template for the state's PowerPoint. And this one's being used by the state too. We'll be editing it some as far as the training webinars for everything. But let's see, and touching on some of the different pieces. This is an example of a man with cerebral palsy that lives in the community independently. And I think this one's worth watching too, just because of the size of our meeting, because these are the reasons we do what we do.
Certainly not you. No, no. Not at all. Probably need to click on it again. Completely disconnected.
a message to Jesse and Kathy that we lost connection, so.
The what?
I sent a message to Jesse and Kathy that we lost connection. I think Kathy was connecting from Silver.
Has this happened before?
Yeah. I think the last time that I was here, it took us forever to even get it going.
Do that instant messaging? I don't know how to quite do that. I've done it, but somebody else tried it.
Jesse's supposed to be trying to give us a call back.
You back, okay. Can you hear us, Michelle?
Yeah, we can hear you now, Jesse. Thank you.
Sure. So any thoughts about that presentation, Lenore?
What presentation would that have been? We weren't connected.
When did we lose you?
At the
Just-
second video,
Okay, that's the last video we showed. So we were just talking about any thoughts about that, and we'll be making the presentations about the service definitions available. They'll be either emailed out on the NC Tide link, or we'll be emailing it out to you. Moving on about the gap analysis survey, we did get feedback from folks after sending that to the group. Once the survey is completely developed, everyone that's on this email list will get a survey, and we'll be requesting that you fill it out to help identify some of the gaps that exist in the network. We did not get a lot of input or feedback from folks from the DD side of services last year. So hopefully we'll get a little bit more this year. The next thing that I was going to move into was Hope House Foundation and talk about that, because Hope House is heralded as one of the premier provider agencies in the nation, actually internationally. They work really well with persons with intellectual disabilities, and they have a model that's very different than most programs in that they do not have any group homes. In the early 90s, they started closing all their group homes. And actually, they started closing them in the 80s. And by the early 90s, they had all their group homes closed. And their setting is one where people live in their own apartments, or they live in apartments with roommates. And I've heard about this program since 2009, late 2009. And actually, Lynn Siegel came and presented in the Asheville area in 2010 and talked about her program. And she also presented at NC Tide in the spring talking about her program. And, you know, when you hear about these things, they seem like maybe it's too good to be true, because you often hear about independent living settings where when you go and see it, it's really not that independent. Well, I had the opportunity to visit Hope House as we're looking for better ways to serve people in our catchment area. And I went up there actually kind of skeptical. I didn't expect to see this wonderful program that you see on some videos.
Where is it?
Norfolk, Virginia. And I actually was really surprised by what I did see. I saw people living independently in apartments, well, living in apartments with supports that our system would say could not live independently or live in an apartment on their own. And, oh, great.
But we do have some people doing that.
We do, but we don't, let's see.
All 120 of hers are.
I want to share this video. These two young men are living independently. Is it going to play?
The girl with Down syndrome is a good video too.
There we go.
They and Adam have lived with home with us for several years. They lived at St. Mary's Children's Home for several years. And we wanted them to have the opportunity to kind of live in their own place. I'm Pam Ray. This is Phil Ray, my husband. And we're Nick and Adam's mom and dad. They're 4 years apart, but they're both born with developmental disabilities. They have cerebral palsy, and they're considered to be severely disabled. We couldn't provide full-time care for them 24 hours a day, and the place we wanted them to go to was Hope House Foundation, because we have the whole philosophy of people having their home. Each time a new staff is hired in a year, they come in and do specific training and observation to kind of shadow another staff member and learn about Nick and Adam's needs with the lift system in particular, or getting them in and out of their wheelchairs, toileting needs, how feeding, any kind of total care, so that is a lot to learn. So.
Nick and Adam are normal guys. They like to hang out in their apartments, they like to hang out with each other, they go to the local Dairy Queen, the library, the children's museum. They do things just like me or any other person in the community would do, except for their wheelchairs. That's the only difference in it. When I look at Nick or when I look at Adam, I don't see disability.
They were doing well before, but Hope House, they get them out a lot more often. They have more opportunities to get in the community, just to walk around the flowers. They were at a children's home. They pretty much stay within the building and the grounds. So they get in their community, they get to meet their neighbors, there are other people who live in the building, safe environment, but there's 24-hour staff here and, are either based on another apartment.
It's like a big family here. From all the other folks who live here, they look after each other.
apartment that the two of them live in. And the apartment's in a complex that's embedded in the community. There are 16 apartments in the building. And 9 apartments are rented by Hope House, or people that, not by Hope House, but by people that Hope House support. 8 of them are. And one of the apartments is rented by Hope House as their staff apartment. So they have people, they never have more than 4 staff on at any given time that are supporting these folks. The folks go to day programs, they live in their own apartment. I met 4 different people that live in this complex, and when they have their downtime, when they're just watching television and those kind of things, there's a staff nearby, but there's not a staff sitting in the room with them. Now, these two, Lynn was real honest, these two have more severe disabilities than anyone they've ever supported in this apartment setting. But they kind of tailor the system or the supports to the family or the people. And because of Nick and Adam living in this setting, they actually do have a staff that's on site 24/7.
So they have like an alert system of some sort if they were to need them in the night time?
Right. They have an alert system, but like for Nick and Adam, there's someone there pretty much all the time in their unit. And there's another staff that goes between that apartment complex and another one that's probably about half a mile away, that where people with disabilities live also. It's set up to where they have 8 people living there. 9 apartments are with Hope House, and it's a 40 apartment complex. And folks like these, like Nick and Adam, are living in pretty independently with support. And like the apartments, you saw that man cave thing. The video doesn't capture the fact that when you come into the apartment, they both have their own recliner, and there's a television on the wall where they watch football games because they both really enjoy it. And like their mom, their family's very involved. And they both of them beds, so they don't have hospital beds, but they have beds that Dad made that function like hospital beds.
Jesse, do you see something like that being here at some point?
Well,
For some reason it can't happen right now.
I'm getting there. Like these 2 guys are supported, each of them are supported for less than $70,000 a year.
Does the Hope House Foundation, it sounds like being a foundation, of course, they're a nonprofit. They've already received a lot of federal grant funding.
They're a nonprofit. They don't do anything with grant funding.
No?
They have when they close their first group home, they rented apartments. There's a separate Hope House residential court, but that's completely separate.
So is their Medicaid funding paying for their apartment, or their families paying for their apartment?
Their Social Security money pays for their apartment. Any money that they make through their jobs helps pay for their apartment. And the Medicaid funding just pays for the services.
What a great model.
And let's see, so those are 2 pretty medically needy people that are being served. Here's a young man whose behaviors are pretty extreme. I met this fella, while it's loading.
Hello, ladies.
He had been living with his mother, and when he got to be about 19 or 20, the situation became pretty stressful. Her boundaries versus his boundaries. He had a couple of behavioral outbursts, was constantly going to the hospital with issues like we hear about all the time, because people can't make it where they're at. And it finally exploded to the point where he broke 4 of his mother's fingers. And he was hospitalized, and it's what's the best option for him. And here's a little bit about him. I forgot to say too, that they tried him in a group home, and he burned through too pretty quick because he was pretty violent with folks.
I can't say that they would have institutionalized him, but at a certain age, they could almost just say, okay, well, you just can't live here anymore. That happens. Blake has been, I think, my biggest challenge. Blake came into the program in 2005. His mother started seeking avenues of having him, have his own apartment. He was being abusive towards her. And that's the reason why she sought out a place for him to live. We have like 6 behavior plans total to help Blake along with his behaviors. Hope House goes through painstaking efforts to address the individual and what they need. He's changed a lot. We skip and get him to go grocery shopping. He goes everywhere like clockwork now. He used to not want to come out and help clean up and do things. Like this morning, he was right up there with me, helping me do those blinds. Typically, he's not a hands-on guy. He has just come leaps and bounds since he's been here. Leaps and bounds. He's a lot of fun. It's an amazing human being. Woo!
You're not good now.
Woo! I like you a lot, Blake.
I know you do.
Yeah.
You're a sweet lady with that.
Yeah, and you're a sweet guy. Great guy.
Is there a long waiting list for people to get into the program?
They have to do their programs, they have to have the apartments. And they have to have a total of basically 9 apartments to set the model up. And they find the settings with, originally they were finding the settings with Section 8 housing vouchers, apartments in urban-like settings. As they've grown and they created this housing corporation, that group owns some homes because when they liquidated their group homes, they used the money from the liquidation of the group homes to purchase apartment buildings. And they purchased apartment buildings to begin with in settings where it was very congested so people could walk to lots of activities. As the options have grown, this gentleman, Blake, he lives in an apartment complex in Virginia Beach. He's, from here to Brevard Road, about half a mile from the beach. It's a complex of 40 apartments. Hope House has 9. There's only, everyone that was there lives on their own. They have one apartment where 2 people were going to be living. So they may have 10 at that site. They have 9 staff available for most places. Some are full-time, 4 full-time, and some part-time. And then what they do is, like she mentioned he goes grocery shopping. They interact with the folks in their apartments and find out when they want to do activities. And there's a give and take. And they have this master schedule that's in the staff office that breaks down the times about who's getting one-on-one attention here, who's getting it there, who's not doing anything during this time. There was one gentleman that likes to, he cherishes cigars above anything else. He goes and buys 3 boxes of 4 cigars once a week, and he smokes 2 a day. And because they worked with him and given him options and opportunities about it, when he first moved in, it was a real problem because he was always fighting in the group home about wanting to smoke cigars. And one thing that she said, and all of her staff and everything said, that they really start from a place of competence. They make the assumption that people can live on their own and that they're there to support the person in living on their own. Now, it's different for everyone, and they said that, and they said very clearly that, maybe our program's not for everyone, but they're making this work for people that we historically have said it couldn't work for. I mean, you saw Nick and Adam, those two young men, and Blake, right? So it's definitely a different vision, and
I have a consumer with Down syndrome who lives on her own in the River Arts District, and I heard her the other day giving a pep talk to one of my volunteers who's getting ready to move out of the dorm into her own apartment. And the volunteer was like, I don't know, I'm nervous. And she was like, oh, you're going to be fine. It's fine. You're going to love it. And I just thought, boy, and I knew this girl when she was in high school. And now she's like, went away to college, come back, and is living on her own in the River Arts District. And it's just amazing that she was giving my volunteer a pep talk about living on her own.
Well, at the Virginia Beach Apartments, there's a video of this person on the website for Hope House. I'm not going to dig it up, but I literally, they took me around to different places, and we showed up at Paige's door. I knocked, and this young lady that's 4'10" with Down syndrome came and opened the door. She is in a 2-bedroom apartment on her own because she doesn't get along well with roommates. And she was making enough through her job to where she can afford the apartment on her own. And they have safety features set up in the home to where she can't, if she leaves the stove on, it'll turn off. If she can't start grease fires because of the way the eyes are set up, and they're trying to get a modification to the apartment to lower the counters because she has to use a step up to get up to the counters because of her height. But she had pictures of her with her boyfriend, with her family. She did not have a television in the apartment because her mother felt that she watches it too much, and her mother's her guardian. But there's this negotiation that goes on about that. And this young lady's been living on her own now for 8 years. And she has been by herself in this apartment for the last 2. And she's really blossomed since she's been by herself because not everybody wants someone around. Now, it's a very different feeling knocking on the door and someone with Down syndrome opening it and there not being anyone in there to support them. She's there on her own, and she's perfectly capable of being there and doing this. I met another woman named Dorothy who, we were late for our visit. She was expecting us because they let everyone know that I was coming because they view it as an intrusion to people's homes, and they don't want to parade people like me through the homes. But they did this early on, and Lynn just got to the point where, people come and parade through, and nothing ever happens, and so it was really, it took a while, I guess, for her to develop and trust me before I got to go. And I knock on Dorothy's door, and she comes to it, and the first thing she says is, I was expecting y'all 30 minutes ago. And since you caught me off guard, we need to step back so I can start this tour like I had planned. So she backs us up and she shows where the entryway to the home had been modified because she uses a walker. And then she went through the processes of her day and how her meals are set up. She chooses what she wants to eat and she eats them in a microwave, but the staff help her make up about 5 meals at a time. And because that's the way she wants it, they're labeled and she can, there's a calendar, but she can vary from that calendar. She's like, it's not like the group home I used to live in. If I want spaghetti on Tuesday and it's not spaghetti night, I can have spaghetti because I have it. So, you know, everything that I saw was inspiring. And basically, I'm bringing it to this group because, and I hate that it's a small group, but we'll be talking about it more and more. But finding one provider that's interested in shifting resources from a group home to apartment settings, one provider that does it and that succeeds at it in our area, we have a waiver that's 2 times as robust as the Virginia waiver.
They're second from the bottom in the nation.
Yes, they're second from the bottom
We
in the
never
nation.
provided residential anymore, but that's in our strategic plan, that if we provide it in the future, that's what it will look like. Now, that's a long way down the road, but that will be how it looks if we do it.
One of the big barriers, I've got a 23-year-old looking for an apartment, he's got a good job. I mean, he's making $40,000 and he can't find an apartment he can afford.
Well, that is a big barrier in Asheville.
Big barrier. And it's like,
It is. And I'm not sure how my consumers living in the River Arts District is affording it all the way, but I think the parents are supplementing some. I'm not certain.
There's public housing.
yeah, there are some there.
Well, she's one of those new trendy apartments above, like, where,
That's considered public housing.
Yeah, it was built with some federal
well,
money.
that's where, shit's a beautiful place.
And that's, what you said, that's where it comes down to, working to identify that type of housing.
We have about 4 consumers that are completely on their own, and I'd love to see that model expand.
But you lack a resource that some providers have, and that's a home to liquidate.
Yeah,
See, the ones that have something to liquidate,
yeah.
But
Being a nonprofit, we can fundraise money for stuff like that in the future.
that's true.
Anthropology just gave us $15,000 this week.
So, any other thoughts about what we shared here in Asheville?
one thing that's interesting about the way she does her staff is I dug into Lindsay a lot. I mean, they had 9 people at that one complex, they're all cross-trained. So everybody knows about everybody. So it's not like I have my staff that only works with my kid. And that's also a paradigm shift for families and providers, because providers don't even cross-train their own staff within their own clients.
That is a huge paradigm shift.
Don't even cross-train them with other cubes. I mean, it's interesting to see. So what she does could be done here, could be done here tomorrow. You know, it can be done. It's just there's too many mental barriers.
Well, I think just exactly what I said at NC Tide and kind of blame Jesse for it, and I was very thankful for him, is getting parents like me to think outside the box, to think that it would be possible, because in watching the videos, I know that Jerry is above where a lot of these guys are. And, you know, it's made me realize how what I thought I was giving Jerry the best that maybe I haven't. And that's hard for me. And Jesse has, and they have on me, but
It's not him that's setting his ways, it's you.
Oh, I said that. I think the second day, I said, because I talked to several people down there that this wouldn't be what Jerry could do or would do or want to do. The But the second day, and I think Jesse will back me on this, my thing was, it's not Jerry, it's Mama.
Yeah.
A child without a disability that I can't imagine letting go.
Well, that's, I think when Eric spoke up, so what woke you up?
Yes, it did. Oh, boy, I mean, it was just like,
I was wondering who, because I know some of the individuals, and so I was wondering.
Yeah.
That seemed to be a triggering moment for Nancy.
it was, and it, you know, and
So are you looking for residential people right now that are currently?
Well, this is very early. This is the vision. This is what we want, or what I guess I should say I want. I can't say we want. It's what I believe is the future of services for persons with IDD.
yeah. Well, I can say Christina was sitting in the room in the back that afternoon that everything kind of went for me. And when we walked out, Christina looked at me and she said, I can't believe what I just heard. If I hadn't been in here, nobody would convince me that this just happened from you. And I said, well, if I can open, you're going to have to open.
Well, I think the issue that most people get stuck on is that we need the apartment complex. We need the physical setting. And you don't have to start that way. You can start trying to do it with your individual clients and the provider that doesn't necessarily have the real estate. I mean, it's not required because it's not, I mean, it's part of the package, but it's not the required part of the package.
But part of the challenge of making it work and making it sustainable cost-wise is having apartments in close proximity.
Yeah, it's a
So that a group of staff can cover and be pretty quickly available.
Yeah, she had said that she would not, hindsight 2020, she wouldn't buy an apartment complex that was less than 32.
Right.
Just because of the logistics of getting here and there, but you've got, that neck of the woods, apartments are easy. Here, they're not.
Mhm. Well, and they have the smaller settings where there's just 16 apartments in a building, but they're in very urbanized settings. It's like something like the River Arts or somewhere in West Asheville. Housing's more challenging here because,
1% occupancy.
yeah, exactly. So that's a great challenge, but at the same time, there are places in Rutherfordton where apartments could be set up.
Yeah. Well, they just built the new complex there on Railroad Avenue, and a portion of it is set up and designed around the MI. And, you look at where Becky lived, beautiful settings, beautiful apartments, and they're all with an MI diagnosis. They're on, taken care of, they're monitored there.
Well, yeah, and folks with IDD are technically really eligible for TC, transition to community living too.
You know a family out in Naperville, but that's not close enough. That bought some land just for this and have 2 kids on the waiver. You might want to talk to Troy.
Well, it's just the initial pieces, and it's really finding a group homeowner that wants to close one. Because if we can find one that's willing to close one, the whole leadership consortium is willing to come in here and provide consultation to do it.
And I know you've probably heard of this group home that caught on fire. It's so big, I always wondered why they didn't take it and make it small units, Canterbury Hills. And it's still sitting there, but it's in,
It's out on Pleasant, it used to be Pleasant Hill. It's on, I can't remember the name of the road.
but it's like in a little country setting.
Robinson Cove.
That's it.
But the challenge with that is it's so remote. It prevents people from really building community. That's the challenge.
They can't get to and from there.
Yeah.
Because it's not on a bus route.
That's why the apartments on Tunnel Road work so well for people for years. They need to be remodeled, but there's, a lot of consumers that lived in those apartments. What are they called? Starts with an A. A little bit south between Carrabba's and the hotel. It's like,
I don't know which one.
I don't know what you're talking about.
But, it's just,
People with they need to do live in there.
this is, this in my opinion is the future of services for IDD.
Yeah. Linda's had agencies come look and nothing has never stuck.
Yes, I know. That's what she said.
Yeah, she said there's one in either New Jersey or New York that's kind of close,
There's no,
but nobody,
she's never, no one has ever followed her model and closed a group home.
right, they keep going back.
People have come
Yeah.
and seen what she's done, and they've created from scratch something similar to what she's doing.
Because of the group home.
But actually closing and liquidating an asset and moving away from it. And she was like, she struggles with understanding that, but it's the dollar thing.
Well, I've talked to two individuals that had the power to do that, and you think about it, you know who they were, and all they could say to me was, people who live in our place can't do that, they can't do that, they can't do that, they can't do that.
And you look at like Monarch, they don't own the home. You know, where Jerry, now I don't know about the Oaks, but they don't own Tri-City, that's HUD owns that home. You know, so if they closed it, what would they have to liquidate to start
Well,
something?
they don't necessarily have to have something to liquidate, it's
Yeah.
finding the apartments. Because Hope House didn't liquidate anything to start with. They used Section 8 vouchers and found apartments.
Okay.
And there's also people that live in their own, you know, not in her apartments, they live in their own houses too.
Mhm. They don't just serve people in their own apartments and
It's separating the provider agency
from the housing.
And so I describe it to people, it's separating the maid from the landlord.
It's very different because it's tied to what we need to do with the supported living definition that's in that waiver, because the service provider cannot own the property.
Right.
So that is a change. The property has to be leased by the person. So, let's see, we need to hear any thoughts in Boone regarding what we're discussing.
What's the name of that family that has a home somewhere off of Merriman Avenue? And it's 3 young men that live together.
Marlowe House.
Okay.
Yeah, any thoughts in Boone? Okay. Any thoughts in Lenore? Any thoughts in Silva? The one person
This is Walter. This is Walter, Jesse. When I was in South Dakota, we had in apartments all in the community. Everybody lived in the community in apartments. Some were total care, some were total independent. The provider agency did some HUD stuff, but there was apartments throughout the whole community. The biggest problem in North Carolina from people I talk to that live in their own place is the control of the funding and the services from year to year. Most people who live in their own apartments fear that their supports are going to be gone each year when the IFD comes due, and then fear that they have to go through appeal process. So some of that creates that animosity and fear, and it won't work because of the fact that the funding is so attached to the services, and providers are cautious about that because they don't want to. That can be risky. I know that Liberty Corners used to do something similar to that, and so did the Arc of North Carolina out of Waynesville, where they actually had houses where people lived independently in the community. But that was always a problem if the services and the supports were cut. It interfered with the people living independently in their community. So that's something that the system's got to look at and address.
Yeah, that's a valid point. And in both of those scenarios, the situation was set up to where the provider was in control of both the property and the services. And in both of those circumstances, the provider was making about 4 times what Hope House receives to provide services in the community too. But that's a valid point. It's really clarifying the outcomes we want from this system.
Has there ever been any thought
Jesse, I know
on?
that, I'm sorry. I know that Jesse, there is, I know of one, Innovations, consumer who is living in her own apartment, through Arc of Haywood in Waynesville.
Mhm.
Has there ever been, this kind of far-fetched idea, but has there ever been any thought with, connecting with Habitat to put together homes?
With Habitat for Humanity to build homes for persons, that's an interesting concept. Yeah. There needs to be some type of connection with builders, with apartment owners, because people that are building apartments, if they know they can rent 9 apartments out consistently, with a
Probably never having to redecorate.
right. Well, but the thing is, in Asheville right now, you can do that. You can rent a room in Asheville for $600. But anyway, so these are some challenges and just some vision and ways to go, or just some thoughts. I just wanted to share this with y'all because I think part of this is just sharing ideas.
Well, let me ask you this, Jesse, and maybe this might be different if these residents like Jerry in the group home were living, but with the support from the housing authority and everything, I mean, Jerry pays almost $1,200 a month rent for his room.
Well, he could have the nice apartment in Asheville.
Yeah, he pays that. I mean, there's 6 of them that pay that a piece.
And see, some of the challenge would be, right now, the way the system is set up, if a person lives in a group home that's licensed, Social Security insurance goes for room and board. Special assistance goes for some general monitoring. And then usually on top of that, it's stacked the residential supports daily rate through Innovations. And then folks will also receive some day programming outside of the home. All of that put together, that $1,200 a month, people have access to the special assistance, live in their own apartment, they could afford their own apartment. Now, that's an option with transition to community living. There's a number of slots in each county that can be attached to a person for rent subsidy. It's available when severe and persistent mental illness exists, and we're checking to see if it's available when an intellectual disability exists without severe and persistent mental illness. I'm almost certain that it would exist for anyone with co-occurring conditions, but we haven't received a clarification about that. So that's a possibility to increase
The rent availability.
the rent money available. Because if you have 2 people that can rent their own apartment, they have access to $2,400, you can find them an apartment.
Oh, you can find the nice ones. You can get to 1,000 and 1,200.
But you see, that's something else to share. If we can find access to that and advocate to get access for that, that's a reason for a provider to close a group home. Actually, no, it's not so much, because right now they get everything but $63.
She told the story about why this happened. Did she tell that? When she talked to the group in Raleigh, the leadership group. It was kind of funny.
Well, she lived in a group home with them.
The night staff group home found out they weren't getting paid as much as the day staff group home, so they filed a labor charge. So they were being discriminated against. So then it started that conversation about, we'll put alarms on. Anyway, it just sort of happened. She said, we were pushed into this. It wasn't like, we're going to wake up one morning and be wonderful. But then we started saying, wait a minute, maybe these people don't want to live like this. We're just assuming. When they started asking the questions, they go, we're not doing this right.
She was also impacted by living 2 years in the group home, with 8 other people, because she was a living staff.
Yeah. So it wasn't so much, she said we weren't like
fun when we were good people. It was like we started asking questions, and once you go down that road, you can't stop.
But now the question is does the model just sustainable because of the force of her personality? Or is it just, or is the model sustainable without a personality like
What's her
hers?
name again on that one?
Lynn Siegel,
She's done a really good TED talk.
LYNNESEAGLE.
There's a really good TED talk by her too.
What, so really, she really wants her model to be that the group home closes first. She doesn't want people to do the startup.
You're welcome to do the startup piece and that kind of stuff.
I'm just curious because I think in Asheville, there are some,
Well, she's not looking to do anything in Asheville except support anything that we try to do.
Yeah, she had a board member try to get her to come across just North Carolina real close, because that Newport News area, you go right across. Like y'all, it was tempting, but the board chose not to.
Yeah, their board's not really interested in expanding outside of their area.
she's one to consult independently.
So she consults for Hope House Foundation.
Nice.
But it's just something to explore. I just wanted to share it since I've seen it and it's real. And I'll be honest, I didn't think it was real. I just thought it was more fluff.
When you break it down, it's a state of mind and it's a process, not a building.
It's a culture change.
Yeah, it's not a building.
And the culture changes really, I think, captured starting from confidence. You start with what a person can do instead of automatically assuming that they can't do.
She told some really funny stories about the staff that was hired. She didn't hire from the DD world. She hired people that, like a mom who had 5 kids, well, she can handle this, So she hired the competence, she matched the competency and the needs.
And that was really early on.
Yeah, that was.
They've got it down to a science now, and they pay their staff.
Nobody makes less than $13.50 an hour.
That's not what they told me. They pulled down $17.50 per hour.
Whoa.
And not their staff. That's what they get from the state of Virginia. And then they pay their staff anywhere from $10 to $12 an hour.
Okay.
But then at the same time, they do different things like staff retreats. Full-time staff have benefits and those kind of things.
And both of them were full-time, she said.
Half their staff's full-time. And they recruit, they advance from within, so people that know their model and accept the model. There's very few men that work there. They have one man that's in a leadership position now. But it's because that's the nature of the system, and she'll tell you that too. So it was very interesting, and I'll be talking about it a lot because I think that it's worth repeating.
Her TED Talk's funny, good. Have you seen that one?
It's on the same, I'll send a link to that too.
And she doesn't love the name, but that's what it was 30 years ago. It's not.
Yeah, it's kind of funny too. Their office is located in this ancient building in Norfolk. It looks like almost a castle.
Can you give this presentation at some point to the board?
God.
This, I can share anything with the board if I'm asked to, but.
You'll be asked. Just want you to know. Because I'm going to hit them with this.
But, well, let's go ahead and move towards wrapping up today. I feel like I have to take responsibility for the turnout since the email didn't get out to everyone. Our next meeting is not until the 4th Monday in January.
So we will not meet in December.
We will not meet in December. The meeting in January on the 25th.
Get that off my schedule.
Things will be picking up then because we'll be moving towards implementation of the waiver. We should should have a lot more information about what's happening with implementation of labor. Watch for an email regarding the gaps analysis. And please fill out the survey. It'll be a pretty short electronic survey.
And it will be everybody?
It'll come to everybody that's on my email list.
Okay.
And other people will get it through other ways.
I got asked to be on a committee that's looking to help put the questions, rewrite the questions, because I wasn't real happy when the presentation was given to the board for the IDD community. So I would.
A lot of the questions were so geared to mental health, well, I didn't know how to answer them.
And there's been some changes made to that. We're still exploring different focuses, and where we may be doing some type of, we're trying to put together a technology fair for providers that focuses on all 3 disability areas. It looks at software that makes it easier to do your job, looks at technology to support people. There's actually a man that, with autism, that's created this app called My Supports in California. It works similar to Match.com. It's a little matrix that pairs people with disabilities with support staff that have the same interests, that they might work well with.
I got like nice cars, so I almost feel like that.
Right.
That's really awesome.
And I'm hoping if we do a technology fair, that he'll be one of the people that comes out and presents.
When are you talking about doing a technology fair?
It's going to be late February, mid-March, somewhere in that area. And it would be in Asheville.
You talking about people like Therap and those other groups
Some
coming
of
in?
those, but a lot better.
Yes, we're really trying to gear towards which we're gonna go with, and I don't wanna pick until.
Look at Care Director, or MITC. And those are some of the folks. What we're wanting to do is set it up to where there's vendors and rooms that do, instead of it being an exhibition type thing, you go and sit through a presentation from the vendor. So that they show you how it works, give you a walkthrough so that you know if it's worthwhile. Because it's easy to promise things in an exhibitionist booth. It's different to demonstrate.
Chris is done there, but she's felt some hiccups, but she's doing okay with it, you know, and we just wanna have like a few ideas to choose from before we pick one.
Look, Robin's getting up and leaving,
So funny.
so did everyone else, so. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. We'll see you next year.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.